Good evening. We are always better than yesterday. How are we doing? It's me, Ryan Hartley. Hope that we're well. Happy Sunday evening. I just thought I'd take this opportunity at the end of the interview session just to jump on and just to share with you some of my reflections this evening. I went to a TEDx event, an independently organised TED event in Newport, in Wales on Saturday the 26th of October, and I just wanted to share with you some of my learnings. Craig McHugh asked me to take some notes, so I've taken some notes. I've looked back at them and I wish I had better handwriting, so we will go with what I've got, shall we? I'll share my reflections, I'll share my learnings. If you're here, just give me some thumbs up, and I'm going to get going. So here we go. We've got many people on. Bill, what's up, my man? Good to see you, buddy. Really best of luck from all of us here and Always Better Than Yesterday for your driving test on Tuesday. We are all behind you, mate. Completely believe in you. Time to believe in yourself. So I'll wait for... No, I won't. I'll just get started. So... yeah, went to a TEDx event in Newport on Saturday, and there are about 12 speakers. I missed the first two because obviously the England versus New Zealand rugby game took priority, shall we say. So I joined my good friend Tommy Gentleman and we watched England versus New Zealand. What a game. But anyway, got to the TED event and... I'll just generally reflect on some of the things that have stood out for me in the talks, and then I'll give you my overall reflections on the event. And I really enjoyed a chap called Hayden Rushworth. He introduced the concept of heroes and villains, and I think this really links to my idea of leadership. And he says that this concept of heroes are people that put other people's needs above their own. And if you have been following me long enough, you will know that my definition of leadership is the act of putting your own needs to one side so that we may serve other people. So leadership and heroes seem to go hand in hand, and maybe villains and bosses and villains and managers are in the same bracket because they put their own needs before anybody else's. So it's really interesting, this concept of heroes and villains, and how we can apply that to leadership and management and bosses. But yeah, that was something really interested me, and he talks about that in the setting of education and challenging the status quo with education and harnessing curiosity and free will within children, and helping them go on their own personal quest of solving problems. And he says that heroes are born out of following a mighty quest. Now, absolutely, I love that image that creates, and heroes are born out of following a mighty quest. That's essentially having purpose, leading, serving, and with purpose. Really aligned with what I believe leadership to be. So I really enjoyed that talk from Hayden Rushworth. What else did I really enjoy? I really enjoyed something from Chloe Gashevsky. I'm sorry, Chloe, if you ever listen to this. I tried. But what she said really resonated with me. She went travelling, and she said that these Australian blokes that she didn't really know helped her get up to the top of a mountain. They held her bag, they kept cheering her on. And she said that just really showed her how supportive people really are. And I love that. Sometimes we can lose our faith in mankind and humankind. And actually, in her experience, two people that she doesn't even know were her biggest cheerleaders trying to get her up a mountain. That is the type of humanity that I love to see, and it really inspires me. So I really enjoyed Chloe sharing that story, because kindness goes a long way. And as she said, it always comes back around. I loved Nathan Jennings' talk about... he talked about the Newport music scene and punk rock And I love the fact that he brought it back to these punk rock values around being headstrong. And I think in my own words, I think that headstrong mentality of punk values is not only having the intention and the integrity, but it's to do whatever it takes. I think sometimes being told you can't do something creates a bit of a misfit, and the headstrong people will show up and just get it done. Matt Holman, his talk was about the 24-hour human, and I think this really resonated with me. You know, at the very start, his slides were in Greek, which clearly was, I wasn't sure whether it was part of his talk or not, because obviously he was talking about mental health and resilience, but he rolled with it, and he kept showing up and he kept going. He clearly was passionate about what he was talking about. Having spent 20 years travelling with work, he then had a mental breakdown and shared all of his learnings around how to build the 24-hour human, which is one that realises these concepts of time, and realises that actually we all have a choice around how we spend and invest that time. And he's really looking to build a world and a culture where we're surrounded by leaders who look after our well-being, that focus on connection, that effectively develop human leadership. So I really enjoyed hearing about that. The formula is simple. It's spend less time doing things you don't love and increase the time spent on doing things you do love, because everything we make choices on are associated with our time and our energy. If we can focus on this concept that time is a gift, then we might look at how we use, spend and invest that. Human leadership. What else? Yeah, my man Tommy Gentleman, he brought the house down. I think my overall reflection on the TED event is that there is a huge difference in those that showed up to share their story versus those that realised that their story isn't really about them. I think a really true and impactful speaker can harness the power of their own story and make other people resonate, learn and reflect, and see themselves in that story. They can relate to the pain, the hardship, the struggles, the wins, the joys, whatever the emotion, and that is, I think that is one of the real things that I've taken away from seeing 10 speakers. The difference between the good and the great are those that really help put the audience at the centre of the story, even when they're talking about themselves. I sat through a number of them, and yeah, it was great to hear their stories, but I just wasn't hooked. I wasn't enthused because I didn't really know what it meant for me and what I should be taking away for it. I think the other thing I've taken away from the event is this concept of time and the need for human consciousness, making conscious decisions around how we think, how we act, how we invest our time, who we spend our time with, what we do. It really stems back to this thing that I've got clear on that I'm all about at the moment, which is helping people be someone they love, doing things that they love with people they love. And I think that kind of was touched upon by many of the speakers. But ultimately, my man Tommy, he got up and he talked about legacy. And I've been fortunate enough to be connected with Tommy, having had him on the interview session back in March. I know enough about his story, but I've never been able to sit there and watch him deliver the talk itself. And very simply, he talks about coming back from New Zealand after a year and a half. His visa wasn't approved to stay, and he came back, and at a time when his brother was 13 years old, and he just wanted to come home and take on the role of big brother. And one day he went to watch his brother play football. His brother had a great game, scored the winning goal, and that evening he had an interaction with his brother that he really shared in a beautiful way, that like the big brother he was, he went in and said, "Oh, well done, good goal," and all that. And as he was leaving the room, he felt like he was called to turn around and really share something deep and meaningful. So he turned around, went back up to his brother, ruffled his hair, and just said, I'm proud of you, I'm really proud of you. And I guess the most powerful thing is that Tommy said that was the last words he had ever said to his 13-year-old brother, who unfortunately that night passed away of a unknown heart defect. And just what Tommy went on to share, we have to know the dark to know the light, and the paradox between the two, and the concept of legacy is the bits that happen between the first time we die and the second time we die. The first time we die is when we leave this world in our body in the way we are, and then the second time we die is when our name is said for the very last time. And he said the bits in between is the legacy that we leave behind. And Tommy's really been able to turn that into something powerful and positive and meaningful, to show up and help others be happy and healthy in their own life. And what more powerful way than to give your own life meaning than to live for the brother that wasn't able to do so. And I just think it was incredibly moving. I think I just stood back in awe of Tommy being able to share that story. Now how he helps people feel happy, fulfilled and loved, and helps people lean into pain and helps people lean into discomfort, because in that we learn purpose and strength. And it's, the message loud and clear from Tommy was that this is about you in the audience, and it's about what you do next. And that's what I mean about great speakers. They share their story not for themselves, but because they have this story and this understanding and this concept of what it means to live with purpose and to leave a legacy, that it can help wake us up without having to go through that hardship pain, or maybe even to moralise upon our own pain and hardship, so that we may learn and show up and lean into the pain and discomfort to find our purpose and our strength. So Tommy, you brought the house down, my friend. You were incredible, and I just love the fact that you had people in that theatre standing up and applauding you at the end. It was no more than you deserved. It was an honour to be in the crowd, watching, listening, feeling the talk and the sincerity of your message. Yeah, absolutely loved it. Those are my reflections on the TED Talk. Let's be conscious of time, how we spend our time and energy. The best speakers around are talking about things with a way of inspiring something in others, whether it be a thought, whether it be an action. And lastly, think about the legacy you leave behind. The moment you leave this earth, but between then and that when your name is last spoken, what difference do you want to make to the lives of other people? What legacy will you leave behind? Very powerful. Very, very, very powerful. The other thing I wanted to share with you, and it's something that I've wanted to do for a very long time. I don't know why I've been drawn to just helping those that just seem to really need a help and a hand, is pick up a hitchhiker. I don't know why, I've always been drawn, always felt a sense of guilt when I've driven past, knowing full well that I could have helped. So this Friday evening on the way home from work, there was a young lad in the wind and the rain. So I just pulled over, picked up my first ever hitchhiker, a bit nervous, waved him over. He looked a little bit confused that someone actually had taken the time out of their day to pick him up. And I got him in my car and we'd had a bit of a chat, and seemed like an interesting kid. He was obviously quite nervous, didn't really know what to say. And we talked about a few things, and ironically I was listening to a bit of Fearless Soul, Fearless Motivation, so I was having some of these positive, mindset talks ongoing, and we made a little joke about the fact I was listening to these things. And one of the most powerful things he kind of said back to me was, when I learn to drive, I'm going to pass this forward. I'm going to pick somebody else up and show them the same kindness that you showed me. And that's all it was. I went out of my way. I picked him up. I must have taken him about 3-4 miles. It wasn't really out of my way. And I just felt that in that moment, I've probably made a difference to his life in the smallest of ways. and that maybe he would remember that. And the fact that he said, I'm going to pick someone up when I'm able to drive, and show them the same kindness that you've shown me, just made me smile inside. It made me think, yeah, this is what it's all about. This is what it's all about. And I shared that. I shared that message Saturday morning on my social media profiles, just sharing the heartwarming story that it brought me. And yeah, I don't know, I kind of wish I didn't, because after that I had 3 messages in my inbox all saying how they knew the individual involved, and they probably weren't the sort of person I would want to have in my car because of some of the things that they'd know this person had done. And I just think it made me sit there and think, have I... Because actually one of the messages were really quite condescending. Really quite condescending, and telling me how annoyed they get at my positive message about being always better than yesterday, and that maybe next time I might make a better choice than yesterday to consider who I have in my car. And I'm sat there and just thinking about, have I done the wrong thing? Have I done the wrong thing? Was I naive? Did I put myself in danger? And do you know what? I'd do it again. I would 100% do it again. And I'm so headstrong on this, because I think the more and more we fear each other, and the more and more we judge each other, and the more and more we get further away from each other, the less chance we've got. The less chance we've got. If I can use my time to pick up a kid and take him down the road, in the hope that just be what he needed that day, then that's what I'll do, and that's what it will take. I have no regrets in having that young man in my car. We had a good conversation. I did not feel at risk, and if I did, then that's a decision and an assessment I need to make at the time. I'm not putting a message out there to encourage everyone to go pick up a hitchhiker. Of course I'm not encouraging that. What I am encouraging people is to find human empathy, understanding, love and connection for the people that we may meet. And if we have an opportunity to give ourselves, of our time, of our resources, to someone else in more need, then that is the message that I will continue to put out. You will get family members, you will get work colleagues that will tell you that how you spend your time, how you spend your energy is wrong, or there'll be some form of judgment attached to it. You do what's right for you. But what I will say is that if you have the time, space, energy, capacity, resources to help somebody else in need that's less fortunate than you, then I hope that one day you will take that, because you never know what act of kindness you will need in return, and the difference that will make to you in your own life. Simple. I picked up a hitchhiker with no expectation other than the fact that I can, and I did. And it seems to me that a lot of people have an opinion about that in a negative way. People seem to be concerned about my safety and preserving ourselves, rather than looking after each other and coming together in a moment of humanity and connection. So next time you're in trouble, I hope that there's somebody else out there that takes the time, finds the human empathy and connection to ask if not only if you're okay, but offer you their time, resources, energy, and help. So that's that. In a world where you can make a difference, just show up. In a world where you just have to look after the people to the left of you, to the right of you, just do what you can to make a difference. Life's tough. You never know what people are going through. Even just a smile, pass that forward. You never know the difference that it will make. And I hope you have a great week. I hope this very short podcast, my reflection on the TEDx talk, and on my experience of picking up a hitchhiker have been insightful. Thanks for joining me on the Facebook Live. Great to see you. Good luck, Bill, again. Always better than yesterday. I'm right behind you. Much love, much support. And thanks for your comments throughout this. I hope that we're all well. Have a great week. Set yourselves up to win. Help each other win. And I'll be back very soon. Much love, guys.